Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. Enjoy the video. See you at the end.
We're here in the matter of Lennox versus Hayworth. Counsel, state your appearance.
Dennis Conant, P23340, appearing on behalf of the plaintiff, Rachel Lennox.
Ms. Lennox is also present, Shannon, as is the defendant, Brad Hayworth.
Thank you.
And I have somebody connected by telephone. Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Jennifer Kaufman, and I am the Observed Parenting Time Supervisor, and I was subpoenaed by Mr. Hayworth.
Okay, Mr. Conant, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Call your first witness.
I would call Rachel Lennox.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Rachel Nicole Lennox,
Ms. Lennox, will you tell the court where you live at?
Michigan 49201.
And how long have you lived there?
I've lived there for a year now.
Okay. And who do you live there with?
Myself and 4 children and my parents.
And you are the mother of 2 children?
Correct.
And what are their names?
Amelia and Blake Lennox.
And can you give me their date of birth?
10/27 of 11.
10/27/11. And they're twins, obviously.
Correct.
And that makes them what? They just turned 9, didn't they?
Yes.
Happy birthday to the twins. Can you tell me how many years the twins have lived with you?
Since August of last year.
Okay. And now that's when they live solely with you, is that correct?
Correct.
Have they lived their entire lives with you?
Yes.
Okay. And is that you said that was August of 2019?
Correct.
And is that when you separated from Mr. Hayworth?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that a year and 3 months that you've been separated, what's been the first of all, the custodial arrangement? How has that worked?
He has 1 week supervised visits with the children, and that is for 1 hour a week.
Okay. So he gets 1 hour a week. Is that what he's been getting?
Correct.
When did that start?
That started as when Judge LaFlamme ordered the last order.
Okay. Prior to, and that last order was what, some months ago?
Correct.
Prior to that time, how often was he seeing the kids?
Every other weekend.
Every other weekend, okay. And was he consistent in exercising that every other weekend visitation?
He was up until January.
January of 2020?
Correct.
What happened in January 2020?
That is when I was assaulted by his girlfriend.
Okay. And who was his girlfriend?
Patricia Shong.
Do you know if that's still his girlfriend?
To my knowledge, yes.
Where did that assault take place at?
At his home.
And what address would that be?
That will be 505 South Elm Avenue, Jackson, Michigan 49203.
And was Mr. Hayworth, was he present when that assault took place?
Yes, he was.
Were the children, Blake and Amelia, present?
Yes.
So they witnessed the assault. Is that true? They witnessed the assault?
Correct.
And what did that assault consist of?
The assault consists of her lunging at me and then threw 2 shovels at my head.
I'm sorry, threw what at your head?
2 shovels.
2 shovels?
Mr. Conan, I missed the first part of that answer. Ma'am, could you repeat your entire answer, please? You broke up a little bit.
Sure. She lunged at me and she scratched me and broke my necklaces. And then she threw 2 shovels at my head.
What kind of shovels were they?
Shovels.
Were they digging shovels, dirt shovels, or what? What are we talking about?
It was a snow shovel with the metal
Okay.
on the bottom.
Okay, very good. Did Mr. Hayworth intervene to stop her from assaulting you?
No.
What did Mr. Hayworth do, if anything at all?
He barely even sheltered kids. The door neighbors pulled kids into their home to get them out of the sight of the assault.
Okay.
Again, I missed the first part of that. We've got a bad connection here. Try again, ma'am.
He barely didn't even shelter them or even stop her from the assault. The old next door neighbors that live next to him pulled the children and myself into their home to stop the assault from continuing.
Were the police called?
Yes.
Okay. What, as a result of this incident, what transpired? What happened with the police?
I did press charges. There is a no contact order for her to have any contact with me or the children.
To the best of your knowledge, is she continuing to have contact with the children?
Yes.
And how is that taking place?
When Mr. Hayworth has his parenting time with the children.
Okay, and how does that happen? Does she show up? Does he FaceTime her? What happens?
It's either FaceTime or through a text message or a phone call.
Okay, so the kids are visibly able to see that she's present by FaceTime. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. How do you feel about this?
I'm appalled by it. I don't agree with it.
Okay. How have the children reacted to this?
They don't want to have any visitations anymore with him. They don't want to go and see him.
Okay. What were the children's reactions to the assault?
They are shaken. They have trauma. I have them in counseling.
Who are the children counseling with?
They are going through Flourish in Spring Arbor.
Is that part of the church out there, the Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church?
No. And then I also have involved Mr. Cole from the school. He is the school social worker.
Okay, Mr. Cole, a school social worker, okay. And how often does Mr. Cole meet with them?
He meets with them twice a week.
Okay, and how often are the kids involved with the Flourish program in Spring Arbor?
Once a week.
Okay. And how long has it been since the kids have gone through observed parenting time, OPT?
They went last week.
Do they? Has that been going on for several months now? Is that right?
Correct. It's been going on for several months now, and it's on a Wednesday.
Okay. Does Mr. Hayworth, is he involved in paying child support for your children?
Yes.
And how much is he paying per month for the kids?
I get 140 every 2 weeks.
And are you working?
Yes.
And where do you work at?
I work for Walgreens.
And is that a 40-hour a week job?
Yes.
Okay. And how much do you make per hour at Walgreens?
$11.65.
And how long have you worked at Walgreens?
I have been there almost 2 years in April.
It was 2 years in April, this past April?
This April coming up.
Okay, so you
Will
worked
be
there about a
2
year and a
years.
half then. Okay, all right,
Correct.
very good. And are you in need of child support from Mr. Hayworth to help to support the kids?
Yes.
And do you live at your parents' house? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So do they help to supplement your income by providing housing for you?
Yes.
Okay. And describe the home for me just a little bit.
The home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home.
Okay.
It's a wide modular. The boys have their room. My parents have their room, and me and Amelia have room.
Okay. So is there a bed for each one of the kids?
Yes.
Okay. Child. What was the situation after you separated from Mr. Hayworth? As far as, did he ever say, I want the kids to live with me?
No.
Okay. It was just presumed that you would take care of them and be responsible for them.
Correct. He's never been on the children's birth certificate.
Did he acknowledge that he was the father of the children?
No.
So at this point, there really is no determination of a father. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, part of what the court looks at is something called the best interest test. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Sure.
Can you tell me what the love and affection that you have for the kids is?
I make sure they have all the love and affection they need. I make sure their schoolwork is done. I make sure they are fed, taken care of.
Do they come to you with their problems?
Yes, they do.
And do the children demonstrate love to you?
Yes.
How do they demonstrate love to you?
They hug me. They tell me every day that they love me, that I'm pretty, and that I'm a strong mom.
And how do you show love and affection to your kids other than feeding and supporting them?
I give them hugs, kisses. I make sure we have playtime with each other. We play board games. We go out on bike rides.
And you have to work full time to help support these kids. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you are you able to find time to help them with their schoolwork?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay. And between your mom and yourself, your parents and yourself, are you able to provide them with the food and clothing and medical care they need?
Yes. Yes.
Has the child support from Mr. Hayworth been consistent?
Yes.
Does that come? That comes as it should?
It should. Yeah, it comes. There's been a couple of times that it hasn't come right on time.
How is he? Where does he work at?
Last I knew, he was working for High Tech Building Solutions.
In what capacity would that be?
That would be going into buildings like for the MDOT, and doing janitorial work, cleaning.
Okay. Is he presently working or has he been on layoff?
To my knowledge, he hasn't been working.
Okay. Do you think he's getting unemployment?
Yes.
Okay. How are the kids doing in school?
The kids are doing wonderful in school.
Where are they attending school at?
They are attending to Warner Elementary.
Okay, over in Spring Arbor.
Correct.
And do you know what kind of grades they're receiving?
They are passing grades.
Okay. And what grade are they in?
They are in third grade.
Third grade. And what's their attendance like?
They're there every day.
Okay. Do you know if they've had any tardies or absences or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And do they ever have homework that they come home with that they need help with?
Oh, yes.
As far as your son, what areas does he need help with?
Blake, he's just like struggling with his spelling and his reading.
Spelling and reading. And what do you do to try to help him with the spelling and reading?
I sit down with him and I have him sound out the words. If he has trouble, we make sure put the finger underneath it and sound it out.
Does that seem to help him?
It's helping.
Okay. And Amelia, how's she doing with her classwork?
She is struggling with her math.
Math?
And yep.
And do you work with her on her math?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of attention do you give her with her math?
With the math, I make times tables, adding and subtracting flashcards with her. I sit down and we'll do some adding and subtracting and some multiplication problems, and I have her solve them.
Is this helping her, do you believe?
Yes.
And what hours are you working at your job?
As of right now, I am fluctuating between morning shift and evening shift.
Okay. And what does morning shift consist of?
Morning shift consists of like a 8 to 4 or a 10 to 6. And evening shift could be a noon to 8 or a 2 to 10.
Okay.
Or a 2 to 9.
And how many days a week does that go on?
2 or 3 days out of the week, and if there is some type of help that one of the kids needs with one of the schoolwork, or there's something that needs to happen in the afternoon or evening, I try to see if I can switch with another employee.
And do you do that then?
Yes.
Okay. Do you typically work Monday through Friday, or do you work weekends as well?
I work as weekends as well.
Okay. So if you're working on the weekends, you might not be working as many days during the week, Monday through Friday.
Correct.
Okay. And how many days a week do the kids go to school?
Monday through Friday.
They go all 5 days, do they?
Yes.
Okay. They're not on any kind of a partial program then, a hybrid program.
As of right now, starting November 5th, we'll be back into in learning. We were on a 2-week virtual for right now. There was a COVID outbreak with one of the principals, and so they put us on a 2-week restriction.
Okay, all right. So you kind of playing life as it exists today. It's
Right.
difficult. Okay. Are you involved in any outside relationships with any men?
No.
So the children and your parents are the only relationship you're involved with, other than your coworkers, perhaps. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you a morally fit person to take care of the children?
Yes.
How is your physical health?
Good.
Okay. And your mental well-being, how is that?
Wonderful.
Okay. How are the children's, you said their attendance was good at school. How's their school behaviors?
The school absolutely adore them. They love them. They said they are the best well-behaved children.
Okay. Does that make you feel pretty good?
It does.
Does Mr. Hayworth, does he ask you about the kids' school performance?
No.
Do the two of you discuss the children at all between the two of you?
No, we don't.
Okay. Have you indicated to him that you're not happy that he's having his girlfriend FaceTime while the kids are with him?
No, I have not.
Okay. Do you want the court to continue the present custodial arrangement that you have with the children and yourself?
No.
What do you want the court to do as far as the custodial arrangement?
The children have asked me numerous of times to please stop the visits. They don't want to see him. They don't want to go. They want to live their everyday life without him around.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What do you think would be an appropriate schedule for the court to, do you want the court to maintain the schedule it's got? Do you think it should be only once a month for a longer period of time? What are your thoughts?
Maybe once a month, maybe for just the hour. That way they can just see him once a month, maybe.
Are you willing to, and have you attempted to promote a good relationship between the kids and their dad?
I have, yes.
And what have you done in that regard?
I've told them it's gonna be okay, go have fun. I'll see you back in an hour. You'll be okay. And they tell me they don't want to go. And I did talk to Blake today about this, and Blake told me the reason why he doesn't want to go and have anything to do with him or see him is because he did not protect them when I was assaulted, and he doesn't do anything with them.
Uh-huh. Now, actually, I think you told me for the first time he actually took them to Applebee's for lunch or something. Is that right?
Correct.
And the kids were, is it fair to say the kids were pleased about that?
Yes.
Okay. But that was kind of out of the ordinary for him to actually do anything specific with them. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any incidents of domestic violence other than this assault by his girlfriend on you during your relationship with Mr. Hayworth?
There was verbal abuse that turned into mental abuse for me.
How so? Tell me what we're talking about.
Over the years, he verbally abused me,
Did he have
put
names
me
he called
down
you?
in front of, he's called me all kinds of names,
Such as?
such as lazy. Um, he's even called me a heifer in front of the children. He's always put me down.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And you said that led to mental abuse?
Correct.
And how did that weigh on you mentally?
Mentally, I started hating myself, um, feeling ashamed of who I was and what I was about. I felt like I was wasn't a good mom until I started and going for therapy once a week.
Uh-huh. Where did you go for therapy when you got therapy?
I was going through Flourish.
Okay, so you went same place where the kids are now. Okay,
Correct.
and how long were you involved with the program at Flourish?
It's been 2 years now.
Since you last were there?
I was there last Wednesday.
Okay, and why did you go last Wednesday?
I go once a week, to continue to make myself stronger and make myself feel like I'm an amazing person.
Uh-huh. Is there anything else that you want the court to know about the situation?
I would like to let the court know as well, as Mr. Hayworth is doing his parenting of time, he's not just sharing it with his girlfriend, but he was also sharing it with his daughter, who is 13, who also, to my knowledge, has been cutting herself, and he has not been getting her any help as well.
Okay. Is this a child? Is this a child that lives with him, this 13-year-old?
Correct.
Okay. You have some feelings for this 13-year-old as well. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Just one, Ms. Lennox, does religion play any part in your home?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We go to Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church.
Are your children involved in religious training or activities?
They go to church with me every Sunday. They go to the kids group, and then also they through the church we have is called the Kids Hope Mentor. They meet with the mentor once a week, maybe twice a week, where it's somebody that from the church comes in and helps them do any type of math, reading, any type of schoolwork.
Were you involved in this church or another church when you were with Mr. Hayworth?
I've been involved with this church.
Well, was Mr. Hayworth involved at all?
No.
Mr. Hayworth, do you have any questions of Ms. Lennox?
Do I have any questions for Ms. Lennox?
Yeah, you have the opportunity to ask her questions. It's not your turn to testify. You'll get that chance. But right now, if you have any questions for her, now's the time to ask them.
Okay. So I never acknowledged that the twins were mine.
Nope.
So what happened to the two affidavits that we had notarized that you told me that you sent in the two separate times?
I shredded them
Oh, so
because
you lied to me
you
both times,
were the
all
one.
right?
Well, hold on. Let her answer the question, and then you can ask another one. You said you shredded the affidavits?
Sure did, because he kept on telling me and other people that the twins were not his.
Were these affidavits done near the time of their birth?
They were done after. He
Right,
never,
but
Judge, he never
how,
came to the hospital. He never showed up. The thing for him, Judge, was he was so worried about a paycheck more than me giving birth to his children.
well, let's back up a minute. I want to make sure I understand the timing. How long after the twins were born did he sign an affidavit of parentage?
A year ago.
Oh, just a year ago.
Yep.
And you did not submit them at that time?
No.
So there's never been a determination of paternity?
No, there has not.
Do you have any doubt that he's the biological father of your twins?
I know he is.
Go ahead, Mr. Hayward.
The first affidavit that was signed was not too long after they were born. The other one was signed October of last year. I still have copies of the recent one.
Hold on. It's not your turn to testify. This is question. I'm going to assume there's a question in there. Ms. Lennox, was there an affidavit of parentage within a year or so of when the twins were born?
We did draw them up, but they were never notarized.
And never submitted to the state?
Correct.
Another question, Mr. Hayward?
If they weren't notarized, why did you take them to your bank to fill out?
All right, say it again. You broke up a little bit.
If they weren't notarized, why did we have to go to the bank to fill them out?
She was being nice.
I think the question is, didn't we go to the bank to have them notarized?
Yes, that's a better form of the question.
And what's your answer to that, ma'am?
She wasn't a notary. She was just witnessing us signing them.
All right, and you retained those after they were signed, and you never submitted them to the state, correct?
Correct. Because I found out that she was not legally a notary, so I couldn't have those sent in.
All right, but regardless of the fact that you've never submitted affidavits of parentage to the state, you and Mr. Lennox lived together for, looks like maybe 8 years or close to it, and as the father and mother of these children, correct?
Correct.
the children have always known him as their father, correct?
Yes.
They don't believe someone else is their father, correct?
No. No.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Hayworth. Do you have more questions?
Not at the moment, no.
Mr. Conant, did you have any follow-up questions for your client?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
And any other witnesses to present?
Your Honor, I'm not intending to.
Okay. Mr. Hayworth, now is your turn to testify. You also have a witness here that you subpoenaed. Do you have a preference whether I hear from your witness first or from you?
I have no preference.
Well, let's hear from the witness then, so that once she testifies, we can let her go, and we don't have to keep her around for the rest of this trial. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir. I do.
All right. State your full name for the record.
It is Jennifer Kaufman, Koffeman.
Spell it again. I'm sorry. I was
Yes, sir.
not hearing it.
It's Kaufman. Kof as in Frank, F as in Frank, E as in elephant, M as in Mary, A as in apple, N as in Nancy.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was the E that threw me. All right. All right. Ms. Kaufman, where do you work?
I work for a healing place. I administer psychological evaluations under the direct supervision of Dr. Shannon Louder. And I also work for Observed Parenting Time, also known as OPT, and that is also under the direct supervision of Dr. Shannon Louder.
Okay. And in the course of performing your duties as a parenting time supervisor, did you have occasion to supervise parenting time that Mr. Hayworth had with his children?
Yes, sir, I have. We do 1 hour a week. They initially started out, I believe it was on Fridays, and then due to demands of Miss Lennox, they were moved to Wednesdays from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
And how many visits have you supervised?
I have supervised a total of, I believe, 14.
Tell me what your observations have been in observing the parenting time.
The observations are this, Your Honor. I submitted a report to you guys initially. When I did the initial intake, I got a substantial amount of information from Miss Lennox. The majority of that information hasn't necessarily been accurate. Just as parts of her testimony today haven't been accurate.
I'm going to object to this witness's determination of what's accurate. That happens to be the province of the court, not some observed parenting time supervisor.
Well,
Right,
Your
so
Honor,
hold on, Ms. Kaufman. There's an objection that I have to rule on.
Okay.
I need to know, obviously something you heard from the mother was contradicted by something you heard from either the father or the children?
It's from what I've observed, Your Honor. The observed parenting time, Dad does not have the mother, or the girlfriend is not at the visits, Your Honor. There was one visit August 21st that his daughter Brielle called Dad for whatever reason, at that point, the children were allowed to speak with their half-sister for a total of 2.5 minutes on the phone. There is not, Dad doesn't allow the girlfriend to speak with the children. That doesn't occur. So none of that's happened. There's been one visit where Brielle, which is the half-sister of the two children in question here today, that she called Dad for whatever reason. Dad was permitted to take the call, and the children begged to talk to their half-sister. That's been the only time that the children have been allowed to speak with her on the phone. There is no FaceTiming, that type of thing that goes on at all of the visits. That's not accurate.
All right. I guess I wasn't understanding that the FaceTime was taking place during visits. I was under the impression that there were other contacts than at the observed parenting time where the girlfriend was observed. And maybe we can get clarification from Ms. Lennox later.
That's what I'm trying to give clarification, though. There has been nobody other than Dad that has been at the visits. There hasn't been any other children. There hasn't been a girlfriend. There's been nobody. Like I said, the one incident was August 21st, and Dad's daughter, Brielle, called. There was no indication that the girlfriend was on the FaceTime, nothing. And I observed and overheard the entire conversation that the kids had with Brielle on the phone.
So you were able to hear Mom's...
I am sorry, Judge.
Hold up, Ms. Lennox, you can't speak out. You have to be quiet. So, Ms. Kaufman...
Yes, sir.
What have you observed taking place during the visits with respect to Dad's interactions with his children?
Dad's interaction with his children have always been appropriate. The children, when they come, they're hugging Dad. They're actually asking to live with Dad on a regular basis. They don't understand why they can't go to Dad's house. They are constantly painting. They go for walks together. They ride bikes together. They play on the slides together. We've been doing the visits because it's been nice at Ella Sharp Park is where the majority of the visits have gone. However, last week, because it's been getting colder, we did go to Applebee's. Dad bought the kids lunch. They interacted and had a good time there at Applebee's.
Have either of the twins demonstrated any fear of their father in the visits you've observed?
No, but here is the thing, Your Honor. Mrs. Lennox has sent me numerous text messages stating that the kids want to discuss things with me. She stated the kids don't want to come to the visits because Dad smells like alcohol and of weed. Well, Dad was willing to, which I addressed these concerns with Dad after the very first visit. Dad, on his own, submitted random drug test. He didn't know the dates that I was going to tell him, hey, you need to bring me a drug test before we have a visit to eliminate these concerns. Each visit, Dad submitted to an alcohol strips test, which picks up any alcohol at a 0.002 or higher. He was negative at each visit. So after the report was submitted, when you guys were supposed to go to court, I believe a month ago, then those concerns changed from Ms. Lennox that, and I quote, I don't want to be with Dad because he's driving.
The court didn't ask for a narrative. The court asked a question, a yes or no question. She answered it no, and then she's gone on with the 5-paragraph answer. If she wants to be something more than observed parenting time, supervisor, then she needs to have those questions asked directly to her so I can interpose an objection in a timely fashion.
All right. So Ms. Kaufman, the objection is that you're engaging in a narrative, and it's correct, you have. But so let me ask you specifically. So mom
Yes,
told
sir.
you that the kids said they don't want to have visits with dad because he smells like weed and alcohol, correct?
Correct.
I mean, you observed, I mean, are you familiar with the smell of
Dad has
alcohol?
never smelled of weed, alcohol, or any other substance. Dad has never appeared to be high on any substance. Dad has passed all of his drug tests and alcohol tests that he has submitted before each visit.
So
There is no indication that Dad was ever high or smelled of any substance.
have the children ever told you that they didn't want to see their dad, that they wanted the visits to stop?
No, sir. That information is only came directly from mom.
Do you have any concerns about Mr. Hayworth's ability to parent his children and have normal parenting time with them?
I do not. At this point, Your Honor, the only concerns that I would have is I have never seen any interaction between Dad, his current girlfriend, and his other children that he has. So that's the only concerns that I would have. But him with his children, it's just because I have not been able to observe those, so I can't make any sort of recommendations on his home, safety of home, having kids into the home. But the interactions that I have seen with Dad have been 100% appropriate and no concerns.
Do you ever observe parenting time in a parent's home?
Yes, sir, we do.
So that is certainly an option that's available to the court, to have you observe parenting time in Mr. Hayworth's home.
Yes, sir.
Have the children ever expressed during a parenting time any fear or concerns over Mr. Hayworth's girlfriend?
No, they have not. They actually praise his girlfriend, to be honest. No concerns.
Mr. Hayworth, are there any other questions you'd like Ms. Kaufman to answer?
No, I don't have any questions at the moment.
Mr. Cohen, cross-exam?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Can we dismiss Ms. Kaufman so she can get back to her normal duties?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kaufman. You are free to go.
Thank you, sir. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, you too. Okay, Mr. Hayworth, we'll hear from you now. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name.
Bradley Hayworth.
Okay, Mr. Hayworth, I'm going to ask you some questions just to get at basic information, but at some point, once you've answered my questions, I will give you a chance to address whatever it is you'd like the court to hear, and you'll be able to respond to some of the things that Ms. Lennox testified to at that time. So where do you currently live?
505 South Elm Ave.
What is at that? Is it a house, an apartment? What is it?
It's a duplex.
Do you rent or own?
I rent.
Where did you reside when you and Ms. Lennox were together?
We live together.
At that address?
Yes.
That's what I was asking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So how long did you live together at that address?
Here, approximately 7 7, 8 years.
And when you resided together, the children lived there with both of you.
Yes.
Um, what? How many bedrooms?
3.
And who all lives there now?
Now it's just me and my daughter.
There's been a lot of mention about your girlfriend. I think I heard a name. Shang was her last name.
Yes.
Are the two of you no longer together?
No, we are.
She just doesn't live with you.
No.
I got you. Well, tell me about this incident that Ms. Lennox describes where your girlfriend assaulted her. You were present?
Yes, I was.
What happened?
Well, I was having a visit with the kids that evening, and Trisha was over here, and Rachel had texted me and said that she was on her way, and I told her to let me know when she was outside, and I would bring the kids out. And she replied with something along the lines of, "She must be there or something, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said that she was coming in because she had something to say to both of us. And I told her that she wasn't coming in. And she kept insisting that she was coming in. And I told her that she wasn't. And when she got here, she pounded on the back door. So I got the kids around and I walked them to the back door. And as soon as I opened the door, she pushed the kids to the side and tried to come in. And I stopped her from coming in. And in doing so, she stumbled backwards and knocked the kids over. And Trisha came to the door and tried to help Amelia up. And Rachel threw a fit and started screaming, something like, "Don't touch my kids," or "Get your hands off my kids," or whatever. And I was huddled up around the kids because I didn't want them to hear what Miss Lennox was yelling at them, telling them that they're never going to see me again and all that. So I was trying to comfort them. I was huddled up with them, telling them it's going to be okay and they'll see me again. And then the next thing I know, I just feel a bunch of commotion over my back. I don't know for certain who started what, who threw the first blow or whatnot. A short while after, the neighbors did come out and they got the kids into their apartment. And as far as the shovels, I don't have too much knowledge of them being thrown. I know they got knocked over, but I don't know for certain that they were thrown. So in my opinion, Miss Lennox was actually the aggressor.
But eventually there were criminal charges brought against Ms. Chong.
Yes, because Miss Lennox was the first one to call the police.
Has there been a criminal prosecution?
There's been no prosecution as of yet.
Okay, when you and Ms. Lennox were residing together, how did you share parenting responsibilities?
I mean, it really was basically 50-50. At the point in time when she was working, I think it was for Christ-centered homes. The twins were around 2 years old or so. I wasn't working, so I stayed home with the kids. And then she ended up losing her job. And I don't really remember what happened in between that. No, I'm sorry. I ended up moving back in with my sister because I found out Miss Lennox cheated on me, and she kicked me out in the middle of the night with the kids. And I went back to my sister's for approximately 2 months or so, and then
You took the twins with you when you moved?
yes, and then I she was having some medical problems, some medication that she was on. She wasn't supposed to drive for 6 months or um, be alone with the kids for 6 months due to the medication that she was on, some side effect that caused seizures. And I just felt kind of bad, like I was keeping the kids from her, and I didn't like that because they were asking me about her, and I didn't really know what to tell them. I mean, it was kind of a hard situation, and so I ended up moving back there, and we were trying to work on things, and a short time later, I ended up breaking my hip at work, and from there, it kind of just went downhill. That accident just it hurt me, and more than one way.
What do you mean?
It just I'm 39 years old. I feel like I have the body of an 80-year-old. My my mental stability. I'm not saying I'm like crazy or anything, but it plays a part in how I think about things now. Like I have a fear of heights now. I never had a fear of heights before. I could climb ladders just fine. Now I can't do it without getting like really anxious and scared, which played a small part in why I lost my job at 2 Men in the Truck in the first place.
Are you working currently?
No, I'm laid off at the moment.
Laid off from where?
The high tech building services.
Due to COVID and reduced work demands, or what?
Yes, COVID-19.
Um, you're collecting unemployment.
Yes.
Is there a plan for your return to work?
Yeah, as far as I know, I still have not very consistent contact with my boss, but we talk every now and then. He's tried to offer me other positions at other spots in Jackson that are opening up.
Do you feel that you're physically able to return to work?
Yes.
One of the factors that I have to consider is, in addition to physical health, but mental health. So you've mentioned that this accident has had an effect upon you. Uh, uh, how has it affected you?
It's affected my self-esteem. Like I don't feel like I was the person that I used to be. Like there is limitations that I do have now. Like even if I did want to play with the kids, just the simple task of getting down on the floor to sit hurts. To get up hurts even more. Like I can't sit Indian style. That hurts terribly. There's just limitations that I have. Like it just caused depression.
So I've heard mention that you have a daughter. What is her name?
Brielle,
How old is Brielle?
14. Well, she'll be 14 next month.
And does Brielle live with you all the time?
Yes.
Her mother's not in the picture at all?
She is just not very much.
So does Brielle visit her mother?
Yeah, she visits her.
Does she have any kind of regular parenting time with her mother?
No, no regular parenting time.
Was Brielle with you all the time that you were with Ms. Lennox?
No.
She wasn't?
No. When me and Miss Lennox were together, my custody order for her was every other weekend.
Yeah, and when did that change?
About 3 years ago.
And since then, she's been living with you exclusively. That would tell me that at least for the last year that you and Ms. Lennox were together, your daughter was with you.
Yes.
How did she get along with Ms. Lennox?
I mean, she got along with her to an extent. There's things about Miss Lennox that she didn't like.
How did Brielle get along with the twins?
Oh, they got along excellent. I mean, they had their big sister, little sister, and brother problems, but they absolutely loved each other. Or love each other. My daughter now is having issues with this situation that's going on. She started taking depression meds because she's having a hard time coping with not being able to see her brother and her sister. She talked to one of the twins on the Xbox. This was a little while ago, and then she was told that she can't talk to the twins no more. And I don't remember if it was Blake or Amelia got grounded for talking to her sister on the Xbox.
Okay, I want to ask you about your relationship with the twins. Do your twins express love to you?
Yes.
How do they do that?
Well, they tell me well, not so much anymore, but they tell me all the time. I mean, I feel the love when they tell me that they want to live with me and they can't wait till they're able to come over. That makes me feel really good.
And do you show love and affection to your children?
Oh yeah.
How do you do that?
I hug them. I might hug them a little too hard sometimes. And I try to do stuff with them, but like I said, there's certain things I can't do. I try to paint with them. I draw them stuff for them to paint on each visit.
Have you had any involvement with your children's schooling?
Not so much now. Not this
When
year.
you were and Miss Lennox were together, did you have any involvement in their schooling?
Oh yeah. Not as much as her. I mean, I'll give her that, but I did stuff with them.
who, when you were together, normally took care of their medical and dental needs?
She did.
Do you have any concerns with Ms. Lennox's moral fitness as a parent?
Yes, absolutely.
What are those concerns?
She's manipulative. She tries to get the twins to believe what she wants them to believe. She tries to make them think that that Trish is a threat. They know that Trish is not a threat. Like Jennifer said, they love her. I have pictures of text messages between Amelia and Trisha on Snapchat. Amelia asking Trisha if she can be her mom and if she can come live with her. And I mean, Rachel is a pathological liar. Pretty much anything that she has ever accused me of, she has done herself. I know she is physically abusive. It was documented in Jennifer's report that she hit Amelia in her arm the night before our visit, and she showed up to the visit, holding her arm, saying that it hurt, and she told Jennifer why it hurt and how it got hurt. She had, I don't remember exactly what came of it, but she had a child abuse allegation for hitting Amelia in the eye with a belt. I know it got taken off her record, but it's still a concern of mine. And I know for a fact she does not try to promote a good relationship between me and the twins. She doesn't want the twins to like me. She wants to be in control. She has to be in control, or else it just can't work for her. Everything, how does that saying go? It's her way or the highway.
What type of custody or parenting time arrangement would you like the court to implement?
Well, as of right now, I mean, just for the moment, I would just be happy with like every weekend or every other weekend. I don't feel that I deserve to have supervised visits. I can barely afford it. I'm no threat to anybody, especially my kids.
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Yeah, the accusation that she made about my daughter cutting herself is absolutely false. There was some time ago that my oldest son was having a problem with that, and he did get help for that. But it was definitely not my daughter. She's never cut herself. Her issues and depression didn't come on until after Rachel stopped the visits. Stop the twins from coming to my house.
Anything else that you'd like to tell me?
Yeah, this has been bugging me since our last meeting. I don't remember if it was Mr. Conan or Miss Lennox that informed the court that I have not tried to make any contact with Miss Lennox regarding the kids since January 3rd. And that's absolutely false too. I've had many communications with Miss Lennox about having the kids come over and for her to come get what stuff that she left here. Her cats still live here, so I've had plenty of communications with her. Most of them have been fights because she won't let me see the kids.
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
And that's all I can think of at the moment.
I'm sure Mr. Conan would like to question you. Mr. Conan, do you have some questions for Mr. Hayworth?
I do, Your Honor. So at the time that the twins were born, you were not working?
No.
And
Yeah, it was.
well, you
Hold on.
testified you weren't working, so I
Born?
guess I'm confused.
Well, Miss Lennox said that I wasn't at the hospital because I was waiting for a check. So I must have been working.
Well, I don't know. You could be waiting for a check to come in the mail. Who knows? You said you testified you weren't working. I'm not asking Miss Lennox. She's not the witness. You are. You
No,
said at the
not
time
when the
twins were
twins were
born, you weren't
born.
working.
When we moved into this apartment at this address.
You weren't working?
No.
Okay.
Well, when we moved in, yes, but shortly after, I lost my job.
Where was that at?
It was called Urist Services.
And what kind of work did they do?
I was a janitor there.
And you're not working now.
No.
When did you last work?
My last day of work was March 24th.
Of 2020?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So that's been about 7 months. Is that right?
Approximately.
Have you tried to find employment?
Yes.
Okay. Do you drive down the street and see help wanted signs every other building on West Avenue?
West Avenue? No.
Have you called any of the placement services, job placement services for jobs?
Like temp services?
Yes.
I've applied, yes.
I mean, there's literally help wanted signs everywhere you look. You haven't seen any of those signs.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't get out much.
So, are you required now to get unemployment to show that you're applying for jobs?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Do you have to do any applications to show you're applying for work to continue to get unemployment?
No.
How much are you getting in unemployment right now?
After taxes and child support, I get $114 every 2 weeks.
Do you know who your children's school teacher is? What his name is? Her name is?
I don't.
Have you been to any parent-teacher conferences?
I have not.
Do you know what school the kids go to?
Yeah.
Have you contacted the school to find out any information on your kids?
No. I get emails from them.
Did you do anything to break up the assault between your girlfriend and the plaintiff when she assaulted your girl she assaulted your children's mother?
I did a little. I didn't do as much as I could because I was trying to protect the kids.
Didn't the kids end up next door at the neighbor's house?
Yeah, after I got in between the two of them.
Yeah, and you don't live with your girlfriend, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Was there a time when the two of you lived together?
No.
Are you involved in any religious training for the kids?
No.
Do you know how they're doing in their schoolwork?
I know what they tell me.
take anything for your depression?
Yes.
What do you take?
Effexor. Well, it's a generic version of Effexor.
Okay. And who prescribes that?
Dr. Martone.
And where's Dr. Martone at?
I believe it's called the Townsend Center.
Okay. In Vandercook?
Yes.
And how long have you been taking Effexor?
About a year.
When you see the kids, do they appear to be well nourished and well cared for?
Yeah.
What job did you break your hip at work at?
2 men in a truck.
2 men in a truck? How long did you work for 2 men in a truck?
About 2.5 years.
What happened to that job?
I got fired.
Why'd you get fired?
I was on 4 separate crews that were accused of theft.
Was that the longest you worked at any one place?
I think so, yes.
When's the last contact you had with your boss in regard to going back to work or taking another job?
It's been about a month.
Where does your 13-year-old, where does she go to school at?
Parkside.
So she's home now, is that right?
Yes.
Do your children appear happy and content when you see them?
Yes.
Have you ever helped the kids with schoolwork?
Oh, yeah.
What are your employment plans for the future?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I'm trying to find a new job at the moment. I'm getting tired of just sitting around.
But you haven't taken any steps to go and actually look for a job, though, have you?
I mean, other than online on like Indeed and other that, no.
You have a resume on Indeed?
I do.
Do you call you call the plaintiff and ask her how the kids are doing?
I do not. Me and her don't communicate too well. It always ends up in a fight because she still wants to be with me, and it always turns into a fight because I don't want to meet her anywhere and talk to her or anything. and that's what it always turns into. So
If
I
the
think she
court
started.
grants you, if the court grants you some unsupervised parenting time, and part of the provisions are that you will not have your girlfriend around the kids, are you able to comply with that?
I'm able to comply with it, but I don't understand why I would have to.
Has your girlfriend tried to FaceTime you while you're with the kids?
No,
Has she tried to text you while the kids are with you?
probably. I don't know. I don't pay attention to my phone.
Not taking any texts or responded to any texts while from your girlfriend while you've got the kids with you?
No, I answered the phone that one time for the kids to talk to their sister. That's it.
Uh-huh. Have you engaged in any religious training with the kids?
No,
Have there been any other acts of domestic violence between you and the plaintiff?
no,
Have you called the plaintiff names? Have you called her a heifer? Have you made comments that are derogatory to her about her weight or anything else?
I have called her names. The heifer thing is taken out of context. She knows in which context I use that word, and it's not to call her fat. But the abuse was coming from both sides. It was not just me. Absolutely not just me. She was verbally abusive too.
Were you aware that your verbal abuse of her caused her to seek counseling?
That's not because of me.
You don't think that your verbal abuse had anything to do with her being depressed?
Absolutely not.
Apparently, your daughter and the twins get along well, though. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, absolutely.
They care about each other.
Definitely.
And you did have a son who was a cutter?
Yeah.
Did you get some help for him as a result of his cutting?
Yes.
You know, that's normally a secretive activity that is kept secretive from adults. You understand that?
Well, he's an adult now.
Well, I understand that. I'm just saying when he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have any belief that your daughter your 13-year-old's a cutter?
Absolutely not.
Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further that you wanted to bring out, Mr. Hayworth?
I just don't feel like I'm being treated fairly. I mean, I don't deserve the treatment that I'm receiving from her at all.
Right. I will give you a chance to make an argument for what I should do in this case. What you just said is in the vein of argument. So I'll give you a chance to do that. I just wondered if there were any more facts that you wanted me to be aware of.
Not that I can think of right now.
All right. Mr. Conant, any rebuttal testimony?
I guess I just would call Rachel Lennox for just a couple of questions.
Okay, Ms. Lennox, do you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Conant.
Thank you. Miss Lennox, did you believe that when Mr. Hayworth called you a heifer and other names, you believe that was a joke? It wasn't meant to be hurtful?
No.
How did you take it?
I took it as hurtful.
Okay. Was that why you sought counseling? Is that one of the reasons that caused your depression?
Yes.
And did that harm your self-esteem?
Yes, it did.
Did you tell him that his words were hurtful?
I have.
You believe that he knew they were hurtful?
Yes.
Now, you never actually saw any Facebook where the girlfriend contacted him while he was with the children. Is that right?
No, the children have told me multiple times that she's either called or texted.
Obviously, you weren't there, so it's really what you believe the children told you.
Correct.
Now, is it possible that the children will tell both parents what they want to hear? Are these the kind of kids that don't want to hurt either parent?
They both don't want to hurt any of us. I know that for sure.
Okay, all right. Well, if they don't want to hurt either parent, that might mean that they love both parents.
Correct.
Is that a logical conclusion?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have a belief that that your twins love the 13-year-old?
They love her. Yes.
If you had it in your ability, would you promote of them being able to get together?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think it would be good for the 13-year-old?
Yeah.
You think it'd be good for your twins?
Yeah.
Okay. If the court allows unsupervised parenting time by Mr. Hayworth, do you want it to provide that his present girlfriend is not party to that?
Correct.
Now, if he should marry her, then the court's going to be powerless to keep her from being involved. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
The court wouldn't have any control over that at that point. But that's not the case right now. You understand that?
Yeah.
And that's the way you would like to keep things as far as her not being involved in the kids' lives. Am I right?
Correct.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, so the proofs are complete. It's time for arguments. So Mr. Conant gets to go first. Mr. Conant, go ahead with your argument.
Well, Your Honor, the court's keeping track of this. We both roughly went through the best interest tests. I jumped around a little bit, but I think I covered all the bases. I think the court even filled in where I missed on the religious training. I think that the kids, I think the established custodial home is with my client. I think she's the one they naturally look to for love, affection, and guidance. She's the one that meets their medical care and needs. You know, and I'll give Mr. Worth credit. He does financially contribute through his unemployment, but for the most part, it is my client and her parents that are making sure that the kids are fed 3 times a day, that they have clothes, and all of their needs are met. I'm going to go out on a limb. My client may not like it, but I think these kids love both parents, and I think that probably the court would lean in that inclination as well. I think the best interest tests certainly preponderate in front of in favor of my client, and I don't think I need to go through every element to confirm that. I think they're equal in some areas, and there might be an area that maybe Mr. Hayworth has the advantage, but I think most of the factors preponderate in favor of Ms. Lennox. So I'm asking the court because I think the real issue isn't custody. I think the real issue is what kind of parenting time are we going to have here? That probably some unsupervised parenting time for Mr. Hayworth without his girlfriend being present, because the primary focus of that parenting time is for him to spend time with the kids, and perhaps for the 13-year-old to have some time with her sister and brother, it certainly sounds appropriate. And I'll leave it at that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hayworth, it's time for you to tell me what you would like me to do in this case and why.
I mean, like I said earlier, I would be happy with just being able to have my kids every weekend or every other weekend unsupervised. I don't feel that there's proof that I'm a threat to my kids or that anybody around me is a threat to my kids. My environment is definitely not a threat to my kids. I mean, like I said, I just don't feel like I deserve this. This is all out of a vendetta because I don't want to work things out with her. And this is all this is about.
Okay, thank you. So the court has to make a determination with respect to custody and then a determination with respect to parenting time. The first thing in making a custody determination that the court has to consider is what is the custodial environment of the children. The custodial environment is defined by, and let me get the exact language so I get it right. Okay. An established custodial environment exists when, over an appreciable period of time, the child naturally looks to the custodian in that environment. In this case, regardless of how it was established, for the last a year plus, the children have lived with their mother. She's the one they've looked to for care during that time. They've not been with their father, and I understand that Mr. Hayworth believes they've been kept from him unfairly, and I will address that. But it's quite clear to me that there is an established custodial environment with the mother. That being the case, the court can change that established custodial environment only upon clear and convincing evidence that it's in the best interest of the children to do so. Here, Mr. Hayworth isn't asking me for custody. He's asking for reasonable parenting time. If I were to go through the best interest factors, they do definitely weigh in favor of mom in terms of the length of time the children have lived in a stable and satisfactory environment. Certainly it's been stable. There clearly are strong bonds of love between both parents and the children. So that would at best be balanced. It certainly wouldn't weigh in favor of Mr. Hayworth over Ms. Lennox. The capacity of each to care for the children and provide their needs, I think they both shown both the capacity and disposition to care for them. So at best, it's balanced. And possibly even because mom's the one who's always taken care of the medical and dental needs, that if the scale is tilted, it's tilted in mom's favor. Permanence of a family unit, I mean, we both have single parents and no one else residing in the home of a romantic nature. And neither family seems to have any greater degree of permanence in the court's mind. I didn't see any significant concerns about either party's moral fitness Mental and physical health is certainly adequate to meet the children's needs. Mom's the only one involved in school. That certainly would weigh in her favor. Normally, the court would meet with the children and ask them what their preference is. Even if I met with the children, they told me we want to live with dad all the time, and we don't want to live with mom at all. That's only one factor. So even if I were to do that and meet with them and they told me that, that's only one of multiple factors that the court has to consider. It wouldn't outweigh the other factors. It wouldn't carry the burden of me actually changing custody. The one factor that is maybe most concerning, I think clearly weighs in dad's favor over mom's, is the willingness and ability of each of the parties to facilitate and encourage a close continuing parent-child relationship between the child and the other parent. I think mom has worked very hard to try to destroy the relationship the children have with their father, and she's done it to the detriment of the children. I think it's been, as Mr. Hayworth complained, unfair that he's been denied the ability to have a normal parenting relationship with his children. I think that's true. Mr. Hayworth, I'm sorry that's happened. I truly am. It's unfortunate that I don't get to hear from the parties until we have a trial. I don't hear from them at the beginning of the case. I hear from them at the end of the case. Mr. Hayworth, you've impressed me with your honesty today, even about things that weren't good. You were honest, and I appreciate that. I believe you've been totally honest with me. I think mom, at least with respect to what happened at dad's home and the conflict with the girlfriend, was not honest. I think she was as much at fault for what happened that day by barging into the home and creating a ruckus. This was not good for the children at all. It wasn't good for anybody. When we look at the parenting time is considered to be the right of the child. A child deserves to have a strong enough relationship and enough time with each parent to be able to maintain that parental bond. Mr. Hayworth, you've been denied that opportunity. And again, I'm sorry. If I could have heard from you at the beginning of this case as opposed to the end, you'd have been getting your parenting time. You're going to get it now. As I go through the factors, I said it's presumed to be in the best interest of a child to have a strong relationship with both parents. The frequency, duration, and type of parenting time should be calculated to promote a strong relationship between the child and the parent. The child has a right to parenting time unless it's shown by clear and convincing evidence that it would endanger the child's health. The mental health of these children and emotional well-being has been damaged by the inability to have a normal parenting time relationship with their father and with their half-sister. I'm going to order reasonable rights of parenting time in accordance with the friend of the court handbook. That includes alternating holidays. It includes every other weekend parenting time. It includes week-long summer parenting time. I think it's 4 weeks that the reasonable rights of parenting time entails. And I am going to order joint legal custody. So mom's going to maintain physical custody, but there will be joint legal custody. Mr. Hayworth, that gives you a right to participate in all the major decisions concerning your children.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
So, Mr. Conan, if you would prepare a judgment, please, a final custody order, and also provide in the order that the court finds that Mr. Hayworth is indeed the father of these children and needs to be determined as their legal father. I don't want there to be any doubt about that.
One additional thing I typically put in there, Your Honor, is with the 4 weeks, I normally make that non-consecutive.
Mr. Hayworth, sometimes we will give parents 2 weeks of parenting time. If you get 2 weeks of vacation, you like to take them with you on vacation. Let me see what the handbook provides. I know part of the concern for what Mr. Conan just mentioned is that the primary custodial parent doesn't like to be away from the children more than a week at most, but these children are getting older. They're not super young.
I'd be perfectly fine with non-consistent. It doesn't have to be like a whole 4 week stretch. It could be a week at a time if they want it.
All right, so you can include that, Mr. Conant. I am not putting any restrictions on Mr. Hayworth's girlfriend's presence during the parenting time. My restriction is going to be this. I don't want there to be any interaction between Ms. Lennox and your girlfriend. So when the children are exchanged at your home, Mr. Hayworth, Ms. Lennox needs to stay outside in her vehicle. The children are certainly old enough to be able to walk to and from the house to the vehicle. So there's no opportunity for a conflict to take place.
Yes.
When you're dropping off the children, again, I don't care if she's in the car with you, but she needs to stay there. I don't want there to be a potential for interaction between her and Ms. Lennox. Obviously, that situation got out of hand. I don't want to see it repeated. If we keep them apart, it won't be repeated.
Agreed.
It looks like the current custody or child support order probably should continue. Mr. Hayworth was imputed, and I would continue to impute. I don't, based on anything I've heard, think that there's a need to redetermine child support, so the temporary order can be included in the final order. And Mr. Lennon, or Mr. Hayworth, I understand you're not working, but there's a lot of jobs out there. There are a lot of jobs out there.
I know. I've been trying. I'm not going to lie. I haven't asserted myself as much as I should, but I am trying.
All right. Well, I encourage you to do that. I know there are a lot of folks that are hiring, and that's something you need to do. Mr. Conant, you will prepare this judgment?
I shall.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
When does this take place or take effect?
Any reason Mr. Hayworth couldn't have parenting time this coming weekend, Mr. Conant?
Would that work, Rachel? Oh, you're muted. There you are.
I know. This weekend we have plans.
Okay.
All right, then it'll start next weekend for sure.
Okay.
It also includes reasonable rights of parenting time includes a midweek visit where you get to see the children for 4 hours. Is that something you would like me to include with your parenting time award, Mr. Hayworth?
Absolutely.
All right. Is there a preference Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night from you, Mr. Hayworth?
Any day, anytime.
Ms. Lennox, do you have a preference?
Wednesdays are the only days that I have off.
So you would prefer it not to be Wednesday?
It can be Wednesday.
Okay, then if Wednesdays work for both of you, make that happen, Mr. Conant.
That'd be after school then till when do the kids get out of school?
Wednesdays are half days, so they get home around 3.
So 3 to 7?
Yeah.
That work for you, Mr. Hayworth?
Pick them up at 3,
Yes,
have them
sir.
until 7.
That works.
In the midweek, you would be solely responsible for picking up and dropping him off, Mr. Hayworth.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
Is
great.
that what we're gonna do for the weekends, or how are we gonna work that then?
I prefer
I
Mr.
think,
Haworth not to come to the home.
Would you take the kids? Well, let's see, how would that work then? You want to
I
take the
would meet
kids?
him.
You want to take the kids to his home and pick them up from his home?
That's fine.
Does
all
that
right,
work?
just make sure you stay in your car when you do that.
I will.
Hey, Mr. Hayworth, make sure that you stay in the home and your girlfriend stays in the home.
I will.
All right, so all those exchanges will be, Ms. Lennox will provide the transportation to pick up or to drop off and to pick up. And usually every other weekend parenting time starts after school or
6 o'clock till 6 o'clock.
till
They
6
don't
o'clock
get
on
out,
Sunday.
they don't get out of school on Fridays until 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, it might be just easier to do it from 6 p.m. Friday to 6 p.m. Sunday. Does that work for both of you?
That
That's
will work.
absolutely fine with me.
All right,
That'd
let's
probably
do
be
that.
easiest.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Judge.
And will that midweek
Thank you,
visit,
Mr. Conant.
will it start this Wednesday?
Yes.
And for
I
the
won't have the
midweek
order in
one,
place, but you should get a midweek with visit this Wednesday.
okay, and I'm responsible for the pickup and drop off for the midweek visit?
Apparently, Ms. Lennox doesn't want you coming to her home, so she said she would do the drop off and the pickup.
Okay,
Is that all right, Rachel?
Or if he wants to meet us halfway, that's fine.
I can do that as well.
Where would
Is
that
that
be?
something the two of you could communicate about without having conflicts?
There, Judge, I'd rather do it right here, right now. That way it's all ordered.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to
agree.
figure out what would be a halfway point. I really don't have a good firm notion as to where each of you resides. So what
I'm
would
on
you
the,
say would be a good
I'm on the
halfway point,
west
Ms. Lennox?
side and he's on the east side. Middle for both of us would probably be like
I would say Walmart. It's a little closer to
Walmart.
her, but it'd be easier to meet at Walmart.
The Walmart
Uh,
parking lot near the old,
Finley's,
what's the restaurant that's no longer in business?
Finley's.
Finley.
Finley's.
Finley's? You want it near the Finley's in the Walmart parking lot?
That's fine.
Okay. By Finley's. Okay. All right. Is that going to be for all of them, all pickups and drop-offs then at Finley's? Is
That's fine.
that good, Mr. Hayworth?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me try to put her together here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Conant.
Thanks, Judge.
All right, I think we're done. Have a good day, everyone.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. I want to hear what you think about this. As always, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Peace.